Hi, this is Mrs. Kornitz, and we are starting a new unit about division. And so we're going to talk a little bit, kind of a review about what division is and some ideas about division. And so division really is breaking an amount up into equal groups. And so we have 15 dots here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 dots. And so we could do the division problem 15 divided by 3 equals 5. And so what that means is that we are going ahead and making a group of 3, another group of 3, another group of 3, another group of 3. And when we do that, we end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups of 3. Some vocabulary that we use with division is dividend, divisor, and quotient. So in this example, 15 is the dividend. It's the amount being broken up. 3 is the divisor. It's what amount it's getting cut into, or it could be the number of groups it's being cut into. Both of those will work. And then 5 is the quotient. So dividend, the total amount that is going to be broken up. Divisor, how it's being broken up. And then quotient, the answer to that division problem. And so when we're thinking about division, sometimes our thinking gets twisted up. So we're going to look at an example here for a minute. Oops, let me get rid of that and switch back to the arrow. And so here we have a 5-foot tall wall. And so we can start to think about when we break something up, if we break it into larger pieces, so if we break it into pieces that are about the height of a cardboard box, if we break it up into cardboard box pieces, we're not going to get very many pieces. If we're dividing it by a larger number, we aren't going to get so many. So cardboard boxes, this might be 3 or 4 boxes tall if it was to scale. We're not going to get very many of them. Bricks, how many bricks tall it would be? It would be fewer bricks. It would be more bricks tall because the bricks are smaller. So it would take more bricks to fill up the height of that wall. So since we're dividing it by a smaller height, we need more of them. Even smaller still would be the thickness of a notebook. So if we piled up notebooks along this wall, how many notebooks would we need? Well, a lot more than we would need cardboard boxes, and even more than we would need bricks to cover it up, because it's a smaller distance, it's a thinner amount. And then quarters. I believe these are quarters. I'm not entirely sure. They look like they might be quarters. If I piled up quarters to see how many quarters I would need to be as tall as that wall, if I divided that wall up into quarter-size thicknesses, I'm going to need a ton of them. I'm going to need a lot of quarters. So when we're dividing, if we divide by large amounts, if our divisor is a large amount, our quotient is going to be smaller. If our divisor is a small amount, our quotient is going to be larger. So that's an important idea to be thinking about. And so what we're going to look at here is we're going to look at some division problems. We're not going to use a calculator. We're not going to use a pencil and paper to figure them out. We're just going to use logic to think about, would the answer to these division problems be less than 1, more than 1, or close to 1? So for this first one, 30 divided by 1/2. Well, how many 1/2s are in 30? Well, there's 2 1/2s in 1. So there's going to be 60 1/2s in 30. So that's much more than 1. The quotient is going to be much more than 1. So I'm going to put that over here. 30 divided by 0.45. Well, this is a little bit less than half, so the answer is going to be more than it was for this one. Still going to be much more than 1. So I'm going to put that over there. Okay, 9 divided by 10. Well, 9 divided by 9 would be equal to 1. So this one is going to be 9 divided by 10 is going to be a little bit less than 1, but it's still pretty close to 1. So I'm going to leave it here. 9 divided by 10,000. Okay, 10,000. I can't get any 10,000s out of 9. I would just get a tiny, tiny little sliver of 10,000s out of 9. So this answer is going to be much less than 1. I'm taking a small number. I'm trying to divide it by a huge number. The answer is going to be, my quotient is going to be pretty small. All right, 18 divided by 9, or 18 divided by 19. 19 is pretty close to 18. 18 divided by 18 would be 1. 18 divided by 19 will be a little bit less than 1. It's really closer to 1. All right. 18 divided by 0.18. 18 divided by 18 100ths. Well, this is a pretty small, so 18 100ths, that's almost 2 tenths. And I need 5 2/10 to equal 1. So this is going to be much more than 1. I'm going to have a lot of these 1800ths inside of 18. And I can even think about what would I multiply times 1800ths to get 18? I would need to multiply by 100. So, all right, now we got this big bubba here. 15,000 divided by 14,500. Well, 14,500 is 500 less than 1,500. And so even though it's 500 away from here, it's actually fairly close to it given the size of the number. So this one, I'm going to put that it's close to 1. 15,000 divided by 15,000 would be equal to 1. 14,500 is 500 less than that, but because the numbers are so large, this is actually going to be relatively close to 1. And now my last one, 15,000 divided by 1,500,000. Well, 1,500,000 is a lot more than 15,000. 15,000 is only a tiny little piece of this. This answer is going to be much less than 1. This answer is going to go over here. I'm just going to kind of put it on the bottom though, because for space's sake. So those are ideas that we're thinking about. We're looking at the vocabulary. What is a dividend? What is a divisor? What is a quotient? Division is breaking into equal groups. And then looking at the fact that when we break something up by a smaller number, we get more groups. Break it up by a big number, we get less groups. Break it up by a small number, we get more groups.